This is kind of impromptu. I haven't done one of these in a long time. And I'm sure that people that disagree with me are going to come back with really good arguments like, you're toothless. I am. I'm toothless. I got all my teeth removed. I had 17 teeth pulled a couple of weeks ago. And the dentist tried to talk me out of it. Well, you could save these teeth. I go, yeah. At what cost? What's it going to cost me? I go, I'm going to have to submit to the way you overcharge, and you're not going to do a very good job. There's not that many good dentists these days. I know good dentists. I've had good dentists. That's sort of a side topic. So I don't know. I spend a couple hours a day, at least, reading, I don't know, various texts, whatever the heck I'm really interested in, whatever strikes my fancy. I wake up in the morning and I meditate. I have a thought, you know. I'll look at what people are talking about and what they're saying, and I'll deconstruct it. I'm on this project where I'm deconstructing beliefs. So, I had really strong beliefs. I strongly believe. I had beliefs like that. And I wasn't slouchy about it. You know, I had valid arguments. And I defended my position for years. And one day, you know, being an open-minded person, because I am an open-minded person, not so open-minded that my brain falls out on the floor. That's a G.K. Chesterton quote. But open-minded enough to check myself and see if what I was thinking and saying, if it was really true. So I spend this time reading things that I used to be in opposition to. Now I'm not so opposed to these ideas because I see that there's some truth in them. But also, I see that there's some lies in them. So I'm in this weird position where I don't really take especially an authority, any authority's word for anything. So I got some thoughts, man, that really fucking bring out anger in people. You know, if you try to have a conversation with an intelligent person that's been educated and maybe read 1,000 books, they have violent reactions. I went over to dinner, me and my girl, Heather, the most beautiful lady in the world. We went to dinner with some friends. And my friends are not stupid. Their children are very successful as far as, you know, money and responsibility and complex systems that they build. They're really in charge, you know what I mean? They're not stupid people. We were talking about the decline of the intelligence quotient and that the test is only as smart as the person who writes the test. If somebody's smarter than the test or the person that wrote the test, well, they're going to get all the answers wrong. See? So, you know, people go, I got an IQ of blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. You know, and you consider what people think to be true and real in other places. Like the United States is not full of a bunch of smart people. It's full of people that think that American is English. And if you hand them a book written in English, they can't understand it. Shoot, if you handed them Thoreau, they have a hard time reading it. And that's an American book, written so that everybody could read it at the time. Yet they tell us that people were more ignorant and illiterate back then. It just isn't the case. It's the opposite of the truth. It's an inversion of reality. So I read these books, and so if I'm honest with myself, and I really think about these things, I can't draw a conclusion, an honest conclusion. I can't say, oh, this is the way, because it's not. You could hand me anything, and it wouldn't take me very long to spot the con. There's always a con. So I could bring up specific things, you know, like the solar system, right? the solar system is idea that everybody's been taught is untrue. It's impossible. And I've proven it. I can prove it. So we're at dinner, and this English professor says, she stands up, she blurts it out. I didn't bring this topic up at all. We were talking about other things. She stands up and says, "We landed on the moon." I'm like, wow, I wasn't going to bring this topic up. I brought it up. I went with it because obviously they had some questions for me. And they asked me a dozen questions in one sentence, which I'm prepared to answer. There's an answer for every question that they ask. Every objection that they're going to make, there's a response. Not only that is when they ask one question, I can not only answer that question, but answer their next question before they pose that question, because I know what they're going to ask next. And they weren't genuinely asking the question, which is most often the case. They weren't actually asking me the question. They were making a rhetorical statement with a question mark at the end. And it wasn't a question at all, because they thought that they were going to stump me. And my friend said to me, well, every time I check the sources, it goes to some fucking crazy kooky toaster website or something like that. And I said, wait a second. I go, what sources are you talking about? What are we talking about? Are we talking about Copernicus, Aristotle? What are we talking about? Because those are the sources, right? Those are some of the sources, Hubble, right? Lemaitre, freaking Picard, right? Who doesn't love Picard? Anyways, so I go, what do you mean? What sources are you talking about? Me, the source? Because if you're talking about, where does this idea come from, right? Well, right here, me, I'm the source. And you have me in your living room right now. I can demonstrate it. I can show you how to perform observable, demonstrable, and testable experiments. And you can't refute them. They can't be refuted. It's impossible. Because once you see it, once you do it, then you understand, right, that it's real. And I used the easy one. I used an easy one. You'll see a ship going over the horizon. And I can bring it back into view with modern consumer optics, which are stronger than the human eye. They can penetrate more. And it leads into another discussion. Well, what makes you think that you can see Jupiter with the naked eye? Can you explain why? Do you know the explanation that you're supposed to recite to me? And do you know why it's wrong? How far can you go with this explanation? I know how far I can go with the explanation, which is farther than most people that claim to know a lot about astrophysics and physics can actually go. Right? I know the answers that they're supposed to give me, and they don't know the answers. Right? From their recitation. It's their recitation. So I'm always put in this position where before I can have a discussion why what you believe is false, I have to teach you what you believe. First, I have to teach you what you believe. And that makes them angry when you tell them, and I do. I tell them anyway. There's two topics that the average person does not want to have with me. You don't have a conversation with me about the Bible, and you don't want to have a conversation with me about science. Because I know more than you do. Well, how do you know? Mostly because of the statement that, I'm talking about a particular instance where a friend said to me, I think this flat earth idea is ridiculous. I said, no, you don't. He goes, what do you mean? That's your opinion. I go, it is an opinion. It's an actual opinion based on observable reality. It's an actual opinion, but you don't have an opinion. So, well, that's your opinion. No, it's not my opinion. I know you don't have an opinion. Right? So I asked this person the most basic questions. I asked him 8 questions, and he didn't know the answer to one of the most basic preschool, kindergarten questions about what he believed. He didn't know any of the answers. I said, so you see where we're at? We're in a position where I have to tell you what you believe. Right? I'll talk to them about what they believe. I'll explain concepts that they're supposed to understand, and they're arguing with me about it. They argue, that's not, no. I'm like, dude, we're not even into what I think. we're still talking about what you think. And that's like the question. That's the way it goes, man. It's the way it always goes. It's rare when I find somebody that's even willing to have a conversation about something that goes against what they've been programmed to believe. And their responses are programmed. You know, people believe in votes and they believe in competing countries. They believe in all kinds of things that just aren't real. It doesn't matter. None of the stuff that people are all really excited about. It's all sensationalism. And people don't have the presence of mind, the calmness, or the ability to think. And that's reality. And it's kind of lonely. But I do have friends. In person, local. And we can have a conversation about these things. And we are in agreement a large percentage of the time. But not all the time. But it doesn't matter to us if we disagree about something because we're respectable. We care. We have self-respect and we have respect for each other and we love each other and we can make jokes and we can get excited and what are we going to do? We're going to order another round. That's what we're going to do. So, and it's neat that I found that. It's pretty rare. I looked for it for a long time. And I've noticed that I do have friends that I can talk to about anything, even that can't even begin to approach this subject. They're just unwilling. So, I don't know, man. I'm not too concerned about it. I don't require you to understand what I understand. I'm not looking for some false equanimity that will never exist. There's always going to be greater and lesser men. But every man is worth his salt. Every man has his talent. And that doesn't make anybody superior or inferior. It just makes our function different. And if we love and care for each other, then it really doesn't matter. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Some of the brightest minds, man. I was watching Esoterica. He gave a really well thought out and good paper on... He recited it, of course. He spoke it, but he wrote it too, on satanic panic. And it's just funny. It's funny. I posted it on Twitter the other day. But yeah, if you ever get a chance, check out Esoterica. I don't agree with him on everything, but I don't disagree with him on everything either. And I've learned a lot from him. And the more people know about Esoterica, the easier it is to navigate the goofballs. I mean, you just avoid them. Just avoid the goofballs. Goofballs step out into traffic and they get hit by buses. You don't have to do anything about it. They hang themselves, And they don't generally live in the same neighborhoods as us. So, anyway, thank you.